welcome our virtual water cooler friends to Into the Filmverse. I'm Mytchel Chandler.
And I'm Bryce Payne.
And today we are going to be talking about Loki, episode 2, Disney Plus's new show episode of Loki, as I just mentioned. How many ways can I say that?
We're gonna be talking about Loki. You know, Marvel's Loki.
Marvel's Loki, episode 2. How many different variant ways can I say that? So we're gonna have a bunch of spoilers in this. So if you haven't watched episode 2, please come back when you have and join us in the discussion. But otherwise, we're gonna start discussing about it now. So Bryce, I had watched this earlier this morning. I want to get your first impressions. What did you think of the episode?
Man, this is gonna be one of those shows that I'm gonna be wanting to rewatch because every single episode. I mean, there's only 2 so far, but like it's just getting so good.
It is. Yeah, no, I mean, this morning when I watched it feels so different watching it with somebody and not without just watching it by yourself. It felt so much more fun watching it with people. But yeah, I mean, that ending though, I mean, right off the bat, I think we should just mention that because that was the big pop. I was not expecting Loki. That. Yeah, I'm still on the fence if it's actually Lady Loki. I'm pretty sure it is because of all the dialogue that they've had with saying you, me, but she also said don't call me Loki. So I'm just like,
well, it's because she's not Loki. Her name's not Loki. It's a girl, so it has to be a different name.
Well, no, I mean in the comics, Lady Loki was just called Loki because
you really think that they would name a girl Loki in her timeline?
I mean, perhaps
it's gonna be some different name. Watch, it's gonna be like some variant of Loki that's like. Loki-ette or something.
Loki-ette. I would hate that. That'd be dumb. But, no, anyways, that was pretty cool. But the biggest thing to me, more than that, because I kind of suspected that from the first episode that it was going to be a female Loki, was that they bombed the sacred timeline. All I know is this shit's going to go, the next episode's going to go hard.
Do you think we're going to see any other characters?
You know, I 100% think so. I think if you bomb the sacred timeline, well, for sure we're gonna get an audience of timekeepers at probably the last, one of the last episodes.
Yeah, but the way I'm looking at it, when they're showing the places that were getting bombed,
right?
New York, USA,
right?
So I was like, Battle of New York.
No, my first thing went to New York when I started New York, USA. My first thing went to Spider-Man and this Spider-Man No Way Home.
I mean, that's fair.
But I don't know. We obviously.
But then I also saw Asgard was on the list,
right?
So I was like, oh shit, we can see in a lot of places.
Yeah, I mean, plus, he just left at the end. He didn't stay with the TVA, so I'm like, I don't know where they're going to go with this, but it's going to be cool.
I don't know either because I'm like, he wouldn't team up with her. That's not Loki's style.
Well, I can see them teaming up
together,
but they
long con.
Yeah, exactly. I could see Loki's teaming up together, but they'd always try to backstab each other in the end because they're.
Oh yeah, it'd be like what Loki always did to Thor.
Yeah,
exactly. Oh, you thought we were together? Haha, stab.
Exactly. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure where they're going. I think that Pompeii thing was a cool touch. Him being seeing Pompeii blow up was like, oh my god, that's pretty cool. They used it because everybody knows about Pompeii, but it's far enough removed where people were like, oh, okay, that's not fucked up to use.
Yeah, let's not bring the COVID into it yet.
Right, exactly. Now I was sitting here and I'm like, what would have been a fucked up way to do this is 9/11. If they had used 9/11 for not that's not a good idea. My point was that I was like, if you just want to fuck some shit up like that, I mean, Marvel's not going to do that, but, but that being said, this even though the end of this episode is really cool, I think the rest of the episode was a little bit lesser than the first episode.
I mean, kind of, but I was interested in where it was going, so I never really felt like it dragged.
That's fair. I think it was just a lot of times I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, we're going through paperwork, really? I mean, and I don't know. It had that nuance of being sort of the mundane in the extreme, with Loki. You think about the first Iron Man, him just building a suit in the middle of the desert. That seems like nothing compared to this.
Nowadays, you watch that and you're like, come on, man, you should be done already.
Exactly. Which is a little bit of the problem of the MCU, but still seeing that, but that Loki still has to deal with just sitting in a library and just looking at documents is kind of funny.
I don't know. I like seeing Loki because you always know in the back of your head that he's doing it for himself,
right? But
he's still trying to be helpful.
Exactly. I'm trying to think of anything else cool. I mean, I like that he stole Owen Wilson's salad, Mobius' salad.
Dude, he's like, don't drink salt in the Asgard. Don't.
I think one of my favorite scenes in this though is when Mobius I think makes the thing that he basically says that he should have. It was after Loki betrayed him, or I guess betrayed. It wasn't really betrayed, but it was more stalled him during the Wisconsin scene. I think it was Wisconsin or Oklahoma.
I'm pretty sure it was Wisconsin.
Yeah, one of the two. Anyways, so they come back and he vouches for Loki, and then he comes out, and then Loki's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, bro, you just said yesterday that like you didn't talk. What's up with that? And then he's like, well, why did you bring me in? And I was like, because I see a scared little boy that's shivering in the cold, and sometimes you want to help that little runt. And then he says, or I'm just gonna tell what you believe. And then they get in the elevator, and Loki's like, I don't need your sympathy. He's like, good, because I don't have much of it left. I was like, dude, he just almost owned that conversation.
Dude, he's killing his performance. Like, I know a lot of people when they saw Owen Wilson was in the show was kind of like, really?
I've never been a huge fan of Owen Wilson because like all his comedic stuff, I'm just like I'm not a fan of it. But then like seeing him in this and like what he can be and maybe what he's going to go forward and being like a serious, more eclectic actor, I'm excited to see him.
Like we said last week, Adam Sandler, man, these comedic people can blow you away sometimes. Adam
Sandler and everything where he's not trying to be a comedian is like so good. Uncut Gems, I mean, the movie was so, but like him in that film was really good.
Sometimes performances make the things better.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying that these guys can't do comedy. I'm just saying that like the type of comedy that they did is not as funny nowadays.
Oh yeah, it's very definitely dated. At their point in time.
Yeah, and I'm like, but seeing them act it's almost like a breath of fresh air because like you're doing something beyond what I normally see you do. It's just cool to see.
It's just like, interesting. It's like Chris Rock being in Spiral. Like that's not something you would see him in.
Right.
So you're interested to see what they're doing.
Exactly. They have more talent than just beyond their like usual stick.
I will say it's kind of hard to watch. It's Tom Hiddleston, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Loki. Yeah.
I was like, is his last name Hiddleston? Is that like a different person? There's a lot of Toms in the world.
There are a lot of Toms, especially in movie world.
But so seeing Tom Hiddleston play Loki with the 2012 version again is so hard to get used to because like I have to like erase all that character development he had.
But they're doing a good job of that, like especially when he looks at the Ragnarok paper.
Yeah, I mean they show hints.
Like, oh yeah, he wasn't there.
But it's just hard for me because I'm thinking like you wouldn't do this. This is out of your character, and I'm like, oh no, this is 2012 Loki, so this is totally his character.
And here's my thing with that is I do see where you're coming from on that. But then I remember, like, I feel like even though he changed a little bit, Loki doesn't change. Like, Loki's still the same person he's always going to be.
It felt like by the end of, like, Ragnarok, he was very much more, like, on the side with his brother.
Now, let me ask you this. Is the Loki that we're with, or is she more superior? Who do you think?
I mean, I don't know about her. She's probably smarter than our Loki.
Dude, like...
Because, like, this is an intricate plan. Like, she found out about the whole, like, hiding in the disaster thing. She got all the time bombs. She beat the timekeepers. Our Loki couldn't even beat the timekeepers when he had the Tesseract on Earth.
I think like, it was a fucking ingenious idea. No, she's like, I don't want to be the timekeepers. I want to blow up the timekeepers. Like I want them like, and I can't wait. It's gonna be cool.
I'm curious what her motivation behind this is. Like, what did they do to her to make her hate them so much? Because this is a level of hatred. This isn't just like, oh, I want to be mischievous and like mess around. This is hatred.
Now, my question for you. Do you think that... Okay, so obviously we have Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. When we would watch WandaVision, we saw the hint of...
The glitching.
And, her kind of taking over time. And a lot of us thought that was going to lead into, the multiverse events. But now watching this and the diverging timelines, and even when we saw Loki, Owen Wilson was talking about the different types of Lokis, and you saw, like, the different variants of Lokis. I'm sitting here and I'm wondering... I wonder if like this Loki show is going to play into that, but also like they wouldn't. See, here's my thing with Marvel is they never alienate viewers from like all the different projects.
Here's the thing though, Kevin Feige has gone on record saying that Loki, the show, is incredibly important to the MCU.
Did he say that? Okay,
I'll see if I can find it because he went on record saying like this show is extremely important for the future of the MCU.
Okay, I mean that makes sense, but I'm also thinking like.
It's a risky move.
Okay, because then obviously we just talked a little bit earlier about how it was debunked by Sony, but I forgot the guy's name. The Tyrese Gibson.
Yeah.
How he said that the new Morbius is in the MCU, and whether or not he was telling the truth or not, that may be because like that may be a way that they bring all these timelines together.
Here's what my mind goes to when you see the converging timelines, depending on how the show ends and stuff. This could be a way of making every single film that ever was made from a Marvel property somehow canon.
Right.
Because, Howard the Duck, that's just a different timeline.
Exactly.
Oh, well, Blade, that's just a different timeline.
And honestly, I think that's a fucking...
X-Men, that's a different timeline.
I think that's a brilliant idea, because then it means you can be fans of every show and it doesn't matter.
Okay, so this is from Empire. Kevin Feige went on to say, he was asked... According to head honcho Kevin Feige, he quoted, "It's tremendously important. It's perhaps will have the most impact on the MCU more than any other show thus far."
Okay, I mean, after the second episode, we can see why that's the case.
It's just interesting to me because you got to think like we had WandaVision where it's very like set in one area kind of thing. It's
over a small
centralized story,
right?
Then you have Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is more character development than anything else.
Right.
This seems like the first property where they're actually going to be interfering with
expanding
the larger
the
MCU more than just like development or like small story. If this is something that will affect the whole MCU from here on out, it's a risky move.
I know, and no matter what happens, Loki's going to come out on top of this.
Does this make you wonder how watching the movies from here on out would be if you didn't see the shows?
No, and the reason I think that is because I think the reason the MCU has worked so well is because no matter what film you go into, you like if it's your first film,
it can be the first one.
It can be the first one. Because there's a lot of people that I know that like started at like Infinity War, and they may have not gotten all the nuance of the characters and everything, but they understood what was happening. And
well, it's like me starting with Civil War,
right?
Because that was the first one I saw in theaters. Because I'd seen like Avengers and Iron Man, but I hadn't seen like any of the other ones. Like
and
Thor,
you're still able to like follow along, right?
I mean, there were times where I'd see Vision, I'd be like, "Who the fuck is that?"
Right, exactly. But at the same,
or Wanda would be like, "Where'd you come from? Like, what the hell?"
Good point. I didn't think about that. But yeah,
Ant-Man, I was like, "Don't know who the hell you is."
But largely, but you got that there was like a different connection. But largely, though,
the story I was able to understand to a point. There was things like I was like, I don't know who Rumlow is. I don't know who Wanda is. I don't know who Vision is. I don't understand what's going on really because I hadn't seen the stuff. But it wasn't enough to make it less entertaining.
Okay, sweet.
But as a overall story thing, you could feel the missing pieces,
right?
Because you're like, when did these people show up? When did this happen?
That's the brilliance of the MCU, though. So you'll be watching that film. It was still a good film to you, even though
because
it makes you want to go back and watch the other ones.
It's like at the beginning of Civil War when Tony gets handed the picture of the sun,
right?
And she's told he died in Sokovia.
Oh, you hadn't watched Age of Ultron?
No, I had literally seen Avengers and Iron Man.
Okay,
maybe Iron Man 2. But I hadn't seen.
That's crazy to me.
Else.
That's crazy to me. I've been, that's crazy. You didn't watch Age of Ultron or anything.
It was straight up just like Spidey Boy. I want to watch Spidey Boy.
That's amazing.
But yeah, so like there was stuff like they mentioned Sokovia, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck happened to Sokovia. So
right,
but like I get it, something happened to Sokovia, so like now this is happening now.
Right.
But then there'd be characters are like, I don't know who you is. Like
that's fair.
Why are you important right now?
So clearly, I mean, there are the major factors that played into that film, but you understood the gist of it to be able to move forward. I think that's what they're going to do here with it. And moving forward, I mean, if Loki affects the MCU that much, they would make films where you should be able to understand it regardless.
I would see at the laziest thing they could do is just add like back when Loki or like a previously on Loki at the beginning of the movies to be like, here's a little catch up for you guys that didn't see the show, but that just seems lazy and stupid.
Yeah, I feel like no, probably not. I think what happened. Okay, so what I would picture would be cool if it happened is if by the end of this show they weren't like the branches even exploded more. The timekeepers are gone, and now either
it's just left unchecked.
And so that's what leads into Spider-Man: No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness.
Different realities converging.
Exactly. Well, because Black Widow's before us, we don't have to worry about that.
Because Black Widow takes place like during Civil War.
Bro, wait, no, I guess. Okay, I was about to say like, what if like in Black Widow there was some type of TVA shit going on in there too? But then I'm like, then again, I think Loki was supposed to come out after Black Widow, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, because Black Widow was supposed to come out last year before all the shows.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
But yeah, because Black Widow takes place like during the events of Civil War when Black Widow leaves Steve. So that's taking that. So that's why they're saying that we could have a Robert Downey Jr. cameo in it because it's technically in 2016. And then Shang-Chi and all that stuff is now.
That makes sense.
I say now loosely like 2023 now. But
right.
Like by the time we get there, we're going to be caught up.
Now let me think.
Disney made the pandemic.
There are... Okay, so whenever you introduce... Right, exactly. Oh my gosh. But whenever you introduce time travel, there's always...
Shit gets messy.
It always gets messy. And I'm sure there's a bunch of things that I, like logic flaws that like I've started thinking about. That
dude, it is blowing my mind. So I can think about I was like, well, what if like... Wouldn't this be like going against... like with the great scheme of thing, him going in the TVA, right. But that's outside of time, but how the fuck does that work?
Exactly.
And then like we see Owen Wilson talking about like, oh, we'll just go to the end of time and then we'll all relax. So I was like, but wouldn't shit still be happening? Because time's always moving?
Yeah, he just said like, because it was, he says we'll go to all the time and be peaceful, and then he also, in the same breath, he said it was still unraveling.
Yeah,
right. And then not only that, but then there was when he was in the office with I always forget her name, but the judge lady.
Yeah.
She was talking about how like he was how Loki was unpredictable. I'm like, but if everything's already happened, how is it unpredictable?
If the time is fluid, I get that, and I don't see how the Avengers go back in time was a thing that's supposed to happen. Loki getting away wasn't.
Right,
and I've seen some people do videos where it's like, oh well, who knows, like Thor could have gotten the cube, or was supposed to get the cube, or yada yada. But I was like, but if this was meant to happen, that was already written. Like,
exactly, because think about this: if it was meant to happen, if Loki wasn't meant to happen, then that means that Iron Man and Cap going back and Tony meeting his dad wasn't meant to happen, and that wasn't supposed to be a thing. So Tony should have been named Tony, because I'm sure that's probably the reason he named the kid Tony Stark.
See, this is what goes through my head. I'm just like, time travel's getting messy, but I don't want to focus on it because I want to just enjoy
It's not a big deal, honestly. Like
it's a superhero show. Like,
yeah,
there's not that much logic in it already. Well, you got people that can grow to like 36 feet tall. So
exactly,
give and take. But like,
me with time travel, as long as you can like make semi-sense of it, I'm okay. Because like I love time travel. Like it's just the concept of it is just cool. Being able to.
It seems like in Endgame you have Hulk say like, oh well, if you do something in the past and then branch, like.
That's cool. I like that they connected that too.
And then
right?
this one, Loki picks up the cube and then goes back and it causes a branch thing. But it's like, but you guys caused him to pick up the cube because you kicked the cube.
I like that. I like that. That's a weird concept, but I like that it connected back to that, and that the ancient one like had a concept of what was going on, but she didn't understand the full thing. So I feel like she didn't know about the timekeepers.
No. Of course, she thought the Infinity Stones were the most powerful thing in the universe.
Yeah.
And now they're paperweights. So.
Exactly. And I think that they were saying that guy is more powerful than Thanos. He's the most powerful being in the universe.
Here's a crazy thing to me to think about, though. Is they said in this episode that Loki variants always keep showing up. So, like. What makes Loki the one guy that's just like, I'm gonna do shit that you don't want to happen?
God of mischief. That's all I can imagine.
It's just weird to me. And then why do you think Loki wanted to go to Asgard so bad?
Because I feel like he doesn't want it to be destroyed. I feel like that's a big thing in mythology, is that he always wants Ragnarok to happen, and then once it actually happens, he realizes he didn't want it to happen.
It's just like, man, I gotta give him some credit. His acting for sad things again, man. You see the heartbreak in his eyes.
Yeah, he's
like,
damn. Tom Hiddleston's a great actor. But another thing I thought of too, right? So you know how there's a bunch of Loki variants, but this Loki, he's hell bent on ruling. I don't know if you noticed that, like everything he does is in pursuit of ruling something, and like because he wanted to take over the timekeepers and rule the timeline, right? But
he just always wants to be in charge.
Yeah, exactly. And the other Loki, or the lady Loki that we're looking at now, she wants to cause chaos and mischief and blow up the whole timeline.
So he could be an outlier.
Exactly. I think the point of why she was like, I don't want to own the timeline. I want to blow it up, because that way she can exist wherever the fuck she wants. He doesn't have to and plus you don't have the responsibility of ruling. Plus, because ruling gets boring at a certain point, right? Because like you think it sounds glamorous, but then you get to a certain point and it's just
like sitting there all day, just like, I don't want to do something.
Exactly. Yeah. Although we did see Loki and what was it, Ragnarok, I think, just sitting there with his grapes and pretend to be Odin. So maybe he likes just laying on his ass and getting fed grapes. But I feel like as the timekeeper, if he became a timekeeper, he'd be like, this is a lot more work than I thought.
So there's a bit in the trailer we haven't seen yet. Back when the trailers are coming out, where President Loki.
Right. No, I'm sure that'll play into why he left.
It has to come up within the next episode, I think, because like most of the time when they show things in trailers, like for the thing, it's usually the first 3 to 4 episodes. Not anything from the last 2.
How much do you want to bet that's not even our Loki?
The world just gets full of variants and he's like hunting down. I would love to see a show with just Loki killing himself in different realities.
That's what I was thinking of doing, because that's the first thing I thought of. And I was like, what if there was like 1,000? Because like, we were talking about Loki variants. I'm like, he's one of the variants. I'm like, what if we had an army of Lokis? That'd be dope.
It's just crazy to think this is all happening while like Avengers shit's going down.
I've seen a lot of people that keep saying they want to see Deadpool show up. Like, it's not going to happen, but I wish that'd be cool though.
I wish Ryan Reynolds would get in a Deadpool movie soon.
They're working on it.
I know, but like they have so many projects. It's like 4 years away.
Yeah, we're like Free Guys. Like that was supposed to come out last year. Like, come on, man.
I thought this episode was really good. I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't know how many episodes there are left.
I think it was the same as Falcon Winter Soldier.
So 4 left.
Yeah, about 4 left. Because we're supposed to, it's supposed to finish right before Black Widow comes out. I think because I think we're about 4 weeks away from Black Widow.
I don't know. I think it probably ends the Wednesday. Oh, that's why they switched to Wednesday.
Yeah,
the last episode's the Wednesday before Black Widow.
Yeah,
I'm so excited to see that movie. It's been so long.
It has been a ton of time, but well, thank you guys as we joined us as we talked Loki episode 2 spoilers. Be sure to join us next week as we talk about episode 3. If you want to follow us if you want to follow us online, Jesus Christ, you can follow me, Mytchel Chandler, at on Facebook and Instagram at author Mytchel Chandler, on Twitter at Mytchel Chandler, and on Letterboxd at Mitch Reviews. Bryce, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Payne Loves Cinema, Letterboxd at Payne Reviews, Payne Reviews, and Twitter at Sanguine Films. Sanguine Director, one of those.
And also, if you like movies and are more into other types of film content, be sure to check out our other podcast, our main show, Into the Filmverse. So we look forward to seeing you guys next time, and until next time, EXCELSIOR!